I know someone who comes here every time they make a big decision in life, and they need to take time to pause, to discern, to wonder. Hi, I'm Ayla Lepine. Until the summer of 2022, I was the Ahmanson Fellow in Art and Religion here at the National Gallery. Today, we're going to be exploring the question, why does this painting make some people cry? And what can that tell us about transcendence? This film is part of a wider project called Fruits of the Spirit. It involves a virtual gallery exhibition, a walk-through trail in the National Gallery of paintings, including this one, and amazingly exciting partnerships with 9 museums and galleries from across the UK, all the way from Plymouth to Dundee. The concept is really simple. It's to pair 9 paintings in the National Gallery with 9 paintings, one each, across those different UK museums and galleries. Each painting stands for a certain theme. These themes are really powerful and really profound for individuals as well as communities. And this painting stands for the theme of peace. Claude Monet painted this painting sometime after 1916 as a part of an enormously complex and yet very simple project. First of all, I'd like us to think about this painting in relation to that question about transcendence and weeping. Of course, not everybody who comes to the National Gallery has the same reaction to any particular painting. But as you come here, you'll notice that some people cluster around particular paintings. Some of them will come as tourists and they'll be excited to see something, whether it's by Van Gogh or Van Eyck or Michelangelo, and they will have a plan. They might go straight to that painting and think, that is the one that I have been searching for, and now I'm in its presence and I can really feel it. Others will wander through the galleries just wondering what might touch them and what they might most enjoy. Some people, especially those who live or work locally, will come to a particular painting every time they come to the National Gallery. This painting is one of those. I know someone who comes here every time they make a big decision in life, and they need to take time to pause, to discern, to wonder. This painting inspires awe for people, and that can be surprising for them. I don't know whether or not that would have surprised Monet, but perhaps that was, among other things, the kind of effect that he was really after. So first of all, what is transcendence? This is, for many, a complex word, and maybe we can think about it in terms of awe, wonder, something that takes us beyond ourselves. Some people associate it with the sacred, a spiritual experience, something that connects them more deeply to their religion or their faith, some aspect of themselves that seems to deepen in the presence of beauty in particular, and of maybe a multi-sensory kind of encounter where not only do they come more deeply into their own bodies, their minds, their hearts, but also, for some, they might find a deeper connection with the divine. Regardless of anyone's beliefs or practices or experiences, one of the things that I notice is that when people come and gather at this painting, they spend time with it. There is a quality of closer looking, patience, and a search for peace. I invite us now to look at this painting and to explore that notion, perhaps that experience of peacefulness together. One thing that you might notice is how many colors there are in this expansive image. There are purples, blues, oranges, and greens. You might notice the texture. This painting in many places is more like a sculpture than the glossy surface of a painting. There is a thickness, something we call impasto, where he's loaded his brush up with color and he's created these really interesting moments, these sort of splodges and twists of the brush. Those have become the flowers on the lily pads on the surface of the pond. But in the center of the picture, there is what seems like an infinite, expansive nothingness. Notice that the picture seems to have no edges. It has a thin, beautiful, gold, luminous frame, but where is the bank? Where is the end of the pond? Where does grass meet water? How and why is Monet creating something which was based on his own garden in Giverny, his own encounter with this beautiful expanse of water? How and why has he created something which seems to be limitless, infinitely expanding in all directions? In 1963, when the gallery acquired this painting, someone said about it that it was really, really extraordinary to confront a painting, to experience a painting that had a subject, water-lilies, but also seemed to just be this infinite expanse of pure experience. He said that for him, he felt like he might drown in this painting. Notice that there doesn't seem to be a shimmer on the surface of the pond. There might be a reflection. Is this a mingling together of water and sky? There's something elemental about this painting, earth and air and liquid coming together. There is a tradition too, especially in Buddhism, that lilies and lily pads on ponds, the lotus flower as well, represent a new sense of life, new hope. From the roots in the muddy bottom of the pond grow these amazing tendrils, which then form into these broad green structures. And upon these broad green structures, there is a blossom and then a full flower, which appears to float weightless, to come from nowhere. No wonder for many traditions, that's a symbol of hope and new life. I'd like us, if you wish, to look slowly at this painting together. It's not going to be for long, around 30 seconds, but it might surprise you how long that feels. At this point, I am going to stop talking, but don't worry, I'll be back with you soon, and I'll share with you more of what Monet was doing when he painted this series and how it relates to that theme of peace for us today and for him in his own time. Welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed that experience of slow, close looking. You might have noticed colors, textures, and shapes. Your breathing might have changed a little bit. If you've been a little stressed or anxious lately, maybe this is a chance for you to be able to just relax and just be with a work of art. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Claude Monet's experience and context for painting this picture. And I'd like to start with two quotations, one from Monet himself and one from a really fantastic art historian who also had a particular religious perspective. And her name was Sister Wendy. You may have heard of her. Here is Sister Wendy. Peace doesn't mean everything is perfect. Rather, peace means you are able to find your breath, to stay connected to life in the face of gritty realism. That's a powerful quote, I think, that helps me to stay connected not only to life around me, but also to paintings like this one. And here is what Monet had to say about his context while he was painting this during the raging violence of the First World War. I feel a little embarrassed about making investigations into shape and color while so many people are suffering and dying for us. In his garden in Giverny, Monet had an idea to set up a massive studio, absolutely huge, and to start working on a series of paintings, canvases that would ultimately be hundreds of feet long. This was his direct response to the First World War. Instead of escaping and running away from Giverny and from Paris, which were sometimes very dangerous places and rather close to the action of battle, Monet thought, no, I will stay and I will paint. It was a hard time for him personally, too. He'd lost his wife in 1911, and he'd also really struggled with other members of his family, not least one of his sons who was off fighting in the war, who spent 3 weeks in and around Verdun, in a place that so many people described as hellish. War is not only the opposite of peace, it is also something that can drag on, not only through its own experiences in the heat of battle, but also in the trauma and in the sustaining legacies of people's lives and cultures. And Monet really knew that. He decided that the one thing that he could and would do was to paint. His garden was not a place to escape, but it was a place of hope, where Monet wanted to paint things that would help people to maintain an inner anchor, a sense of peace in themselves that then might be able to radiate out to their communities and to the whole world. It's not for nothing, then, that he decided to offer many of these works to the French state at the end of the war. One of the most profound things about the whole series is that in Monet's quest for peace, he knew that he was giving the best of himself, and he also knew that his experience was, like all of our experiences, limited, kind of inadequate. And so what he was searching for was a chance to reconnect the interconnectedness of common humanity, to be able to give people a quality of hope, a quality of love, and most definitely a quality of beauty that would somehow transcend this extraordinary experience which kept harming people and seemed to go on forever and ever. When we are in a place of suffering, and everybody has experienced suffering of one degree or another, often we deeply and earnestly, urgently find ourselves on a quest for peace. Many people do weep in front of this painting. It does something to them. And it's possible that with its awe and wonder and limitless beauty, it also has something of that character of Monet's own hope and quest for peace in a broken world. That's why, within the Fruits of the Spirit exhibition, this painting is standing for and is opening up new questions about peace, our search for it and our need for it in our world today, more than ever. If you're interested in learning more about art history, you can click here or here, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.